who are present in this hall number 3. I would like 15th International Conference of the Chief Justices. This is the second parallel session that we are having today. We are extremely fortunate that we have our eminent speakers, the legal luminaries from all parts of the world, sitting here amongst us. We have as audience today students of City Montessori School, Aliganj campus, and these are all grade 10s and grade 11. Am I right? So we have these students who are going to be listening to the words of wisdom that are going to come from the podium. The topic that is going to be discussed here today is global governance structure. If you look at the flex here, it shows us what are the various topics which are being taken up in the various parallel sessions. We have topics like creating a culture of unity and peace, establishing rule of law, global governance structure, which is the topic that we are discussing here, tackling global issues towards international law, enforceability, and sustainable development. We all realize that these topics are all interlinked, and somewhere down the line they take us towards the objective with which we have all gathered here. Today in the discussions, our panelists are going to be somehow trying to relate to understanding how exactly we can come up with a governance structure which is going to assure global democracy if a new world order is created by way of reforming the United Nations. Today we have as the chairperson Honorable Mr. Justice Haley Potani. He is the Judge President, High Court of Malawi. He is very kindly consented to be the chairperson today, and I will request him to take up the rest of the proceedings. Thank you very much, sir. And I'd also request you to lay out the rules of the proceedings. Thank you.
Honorable Justices present here. Honorable Justices present here. Honorable Ambassadors present here. Our good students of Montessori School. Ladies and gentlemen, the coordinator, Madame Anante, has partly introduced our business for this morning. We'll be discussing the issue of global governance structure. And under this discussion, we would look at some subheadings on the discussion, like in the area of UN reform. Remember that the dream of Dr. Gandhi is the creation of a world government or a world parliament. This can be done within the UN, and for that to be done, there is need to reform the UN. Again, we will look at the need for a new world order on democratic lines. Again, we shall also consider the structure of global democracy. And again, consideration of options for global structure suggested by various organizations for the effective global governance. So these are sub-items which we are going to look at. Among the eminent presenters or speakers we have, there is Honorable Justice Omar Makungu, the Chief Justice, High Court of Zanzibar. There is also Dr. Hassan Talib, the Ambassador of Sudan. There is His Excellency Mrs. Chan, Secretary of State, Minister of Justice in Cambodia. There is Honorable Mrs. Justice Vas, Judge of Supreme Court of Ukraine, and Mr. John Eubank of the United States of America. Our first speaker, Ambassador of Croatia. He's not on the list. Oh yes, he should be him. So it will be Dr. Hassan who's first speaking. Dr. Hassan? Yeah. Each speaker will have a maximum of 7 minutes to utilize. There's a timekeeper who will sound the bell if you have reached your 7 minutes. The bell will be a warning for you to wind up your speech. We'll start with Dr. Hassan Talib, the ambassador of the Sudan. Because of his flight schedules, he has to speak and leave us as early as he can. May I ask you, Honorable Ambassador, to come to the podium and address us. Thank you.
I have to say good morning, students of Montessori, Excellencies, Honorable Justice, Excellency, colleague ambassadors, diplomats, all protocol observed, and also would like to extend my thanks and gratitude to the coordinator, the director of program. Also would like to mention that you, as sitting here in your teenage years, the year where you form your personality, you are the real leaders of the future. You have a good chance to take our experiences for the last 30, 40 years, things which we have been doing and proving by experience to be right or wrong. So you don't need to work 30 years to reach them. This is the good thing about this conference of Montessori. You have the towering justice of the world here, the pillars of international judiciary system, and also the applications and whatever that concerning. So my issue today, the time is very limited. I have a paper, maybe it could be distributed to you later. I will put only the major pillars and my critique regarding the democratization of the international system and also the new world order and how we look at it. As you know, the League of Nations, which is started between 1914 to 1919, used to be major with some European countries, because that time all African countries, with the exception of Ethiopia, and all Asian countries, maybe with the exception of Japan, are under colonization. So the League of Nations is not representative to the nations, but they call it League of Nations anyway. For that reason, it couldn't survive. It only survived like between 1919 to 1935 when the Second World War. And the reason why it was collapsed, because the leaders of it from major one continent in Europe, Britain, France, Italy, etc., Germany, and these guys used to have the modality and mechanism of enlarging their country, invading other countries, and then they fight on the loot, because Italy invaded Abyssinia, which is an independent monarchy in Africa. Now they call it Ethiopia. In 1935, Mussolini of Italy invaded. When the other leaders were angry with him, he said, no, you shouldn't be angry, because the League is very well when sparrows shout, but no good at all when eagles fall down. So this is the mindset for that. For that reason, it was collapsed, because it is not representative of peace. It is not looking for those who are under colonization or anything. Then it took like some time when Hitler came, 1935 in Germany, and you know the story and his invasion and looking for himself as super, etc., killing the Jews and everybody who is against him. Then the new world needs a new United Nations to address the underlying issues. And that came in 1945 with, as you know, the American president, well known to you, Woodrow Wilson, and the other leaders, to look into the problems, why we failed to save the international peace and security. Now we need a new system. So the United Nations came in 1945. But when the United Nations came, one of its major issues is sovereignty of a state. Because in the previous, no sovereignty of a state, because these powers look to enlarge. Now they say, no, we have to change this. Independence of a state came. But every state, whether a small island or very big country, United States or Russia or Russian Union now, or Brazil, or a small tiny island in any place, which is a state, should be sovereign, one state, one vote. Now this system goes, and now of course, if you look at the League of Nations, it took about maybe 20 years, from 1920 to 1939, etc. It finished. Now the United Nations has 50 years from 45 today, 70 years, 70 years old. And the problem with the United Nations today, as we see it, the Security Council was formed from those who invaded Germany, Italy, and Japan as alliance, and the winners got to write the law. As you know in history, always the winner write the law, but the loser goes with nothing. That is what happened. The Security Council has powers. He can declare war against any place, India, Sudan, etc. Now they can make any rule without referring to the General Assembly, which is supposedly to be the parliament of the nation. Here in India, you have the Lok Sabha. The president has no right to take laws until the Lok Sabha make these laws, discuss, promulgate, then executive will be the president. Legislative will be Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, then judiciary will be separate. Now we have trouble with new shoots coming from somewhere. I would give you, because you are major in the international law, you have to know this dichotomy. The sovereignty of a state for us is like slavery and freedom. For man, we say you are free, you born free, you should live free, nobody should enslave you. For the state, we say state is sovereign. Nobody should impose law on that state until the people of that state being taken referendum, making their laws and elect their leaders. If another country says no, you have to follow me, or I will declare war and arrest you and put your people in so and so. This is not sovereignty, this is slavery. That is why states make army, make security to defend themselves from invasion. Okay, I will take 2 minutes, Excellency, because I will take my time to go away. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Excellency. I take this comment as an honor, Excellency. Thank you very much. So the issue now facing the international community is how we can make democratization of the UN system. These 5 people, we tell them thank you very much for protecting us when there is a bad leaders who want to annihilate the world, to kill some people for racism, who believe they are superior to others. But now, please, after 60 years, we want you to relinquish power. Because now they tell us in Africa, in Asia, in different countries, the president should have 2 mandates, 5 years. If he makes 3, they will say he is a bad president. So now you sit 70 years and you don't want. How come? So let us be in this frank. So this is the international law. Also, the Security Council should give power to others. India and China, approximately 50% of the total world population, 6.5 billion. India, China, approximately 3 billion. Same by the end of the century, be 6. So why you don't give them voting power in that council according to their constitution? 1 man, 1 vote. So here, why no one man, one vote? This is the issues we need you as students of tomorrow and judges of tomorrow and diplomats of tomorrow to address it. Yesterday, Chief Justice Honorable Ahmadi said 2 things very important. Don't have fear in your heart. Always say what you believe. Say it frankly. If it is wrong, somebody will correct you. If it is right, people will follow you. Then the second thing, don't believe in superstition. They say United Nations, 70 years, we believe in it. But we have to look whether it is right or wrong. Is it a superstition? And this is why knowledge we develop, we make research, we take research as paradigm, we make a hypothesis, we test the hypothesis, we put all tests, and then we see whether the result is significant or insignificant, and then this is all about education, excellencies, students. I am glad here you remind me of my days in the school. I also graduated in Faculty of Economic and Social Studies. I have a bit of politics, bit of international law, economic development, and I've been working for maybe 30 years serving my government in different fields, including diplomacy. Today you make me feel there is a future for this world. So I'm glad for you. Thank you for this beautiful city of Lucknow. First time for me to come here, but I think maybe I can come, inshallah, time after time. Thank you very much, all the best.
Our speaker is to leave because his flight is supposed to, he's supposed to catch his flight as soon as he can. Otherwise, let's give him another round of applause, a hand clap. I don't know who is going to answer the questions that will come from your presentation, but we'll try. Thank you. Our next speaker will be the lady on my left. I'm inviting a lady to be the next speaker because I want to be gender sensitive. She is a judge, a justice in the Ukraine. Her name is Justice Svitelna Vusu.
Доброго ранку. Високоповажності посол, пане міністр юстиції, пане головуючий, ваша честь, колеги судді, шановні присутні учні. На жаль, я не володію англійською мовою, тому переклад буде здійснювати мій консультант.
Your Excellency, your Mr. Chairman, and everyone, children and teachers. Actually, Madam Bush, she's not really speaking English, so I will try to translate her remarks. And so we had something to say in this topic to you. First of all, we are very grateful for the invitation to participate in this conference, which for many years acting as a guiding light to society and reflect the sincere desire to maintain international peace and security for the complete and harmonious development of our children. The conference is absolutely invaluable because children are the future of the world. So only joint efforts by coordinating our actions, we can achieve some success to create all necessary conditions for education and child development for a happy future. Child protection is a strategic national priority in many countries. Investing resources in childhood, the state strengthens future productive forces, ensures the stability and prosperity of the nation, prepares citizens who are able to take over the management of the state and public affairs. The way that children grow will determine the fate of any nation or community in the future. Therefore, the problem of forming and realization of government policy in the field of child protection in Ukraine is essential both in theoretically and in practice. Current events in Ukraine, such as Russian aggression and annexation of Crimea and Sevastopol, and the war with Russia in the border areas of Donetsk and Lugansk region, significantly changed the life of all citizens of Ukraine, regardless of their place and of residence. The most vulnerable categories of the population most affected during any radical changes in society, especially if these changes are associated with the military or quasi-military, as in Crimea confrontation. And first of all, children who live in Donetsk and Lugansk regions experiencing the most acute consequences of war. Thus, owing the conflict in Donbass, according to UN, affected more than 5 million Ukrainian citizens. According to estimates by UNICEF, 1.7 million victims, or 34 34 of the total number are children. 44%. War never heeded humanism, so always lead to a large number of victims, not only to the military, but also civilian population, including children. According to WHO, as of the 1st of May, the war in Donbass killed 68 children. Of these, at least 4 at the time of the last truce. 176 children were injured. In addition, the war in Donbass led to casualties among children from other countries. On Boeing 777 shut down in 17th of July, among the 98 passengers were killed, where was 80 children of all ages. A very large category of children and their specific problems form due the armed conflict in Ukraine. Children, internationally displaced persons. Aware of the significant threat they contains, annexation and war on the territory controlled by Ukraine began arriving refugees from Crimea and Donbass. As of the end of this year, according to the Ministry of Social Policy of Ukraine, registering 1,325,000 migrants. It's a 3% from all Ukrainian population, including Crimea and Sevastopol city. At the same time, according to the State Service of Emergency Situation, as of June 3rd, 873,000 resettled persons, including in the Donetsk and Lugansk region. And it's of course contains the Crimeans and Sevastopol city. It's to 20,000 people. That is an average of almost 2,000 citizens of Ukraine every day since hostilities leave their homes and becomes refugees. And it is only internally displaced person who fled the war in the territory of Ukraine. Among the internally displaced people, it's 150,000 children. It's about 17 and 2% of all immigrants. So an average 330 children every day were left of their homes. More than 4,000 babies were born during these mothers' refugees on the territory controlled by Ukraine. Because the war is in our country, due to aggressive media, victims, war, violence, hate speech in the media, and intense mental states of adults as a result of direct contact with children IDPs, actualized the problem of impact the war, the formation, socialization of all children in Ukraine. Previously, the definition of children of war in our state clearly associated with the generation born before the during of the Second World War. Today is a different age category. It is noteworthy that today the children of war is no longer former generation and generation that only a stage of socialization, stage of the internal I and future external collective we, political and civil culture of the community and around people. Society and the state, if they are interested in self-preservation, do not only have to worry about the welfare of the most vulnerable populations, but also security, education, the ability of children to access full rights and freedoms, and the ability youngest citizens of Ukraine in the future to defend them. Quantitatively small, but the most affected by the consequences of war, the categories of children, because of military action, many of them becomes orphan. According to the Ministry of Social Policy of Ukraine, as of March, 31 of March, 1,000 children lost their parents due to their participation in the ATO, its anti-terroristic operations, or from injuries received in the area of anti-terroristic operations. Today, the state implemented a number of actions regarding the recognition of their specific benefits, such as access to higher education. However, to guarantee their rights, we have to resolve actual adult problems. ATO status of their dead parents, especially if they participated in volunteers' corps. The problem of children and the war cannot be solved in isolation from the general problem of state war. Therefore, policy on children should be part of an overall program to restore the territorial integrity and adaptation programs to immigrants. In general, the protection of child rights from the effects of war, hostilities and violence in the condition of Ukrainian requires solving a number of other issues that should be a part of integrated strategy. Ukraine, based on majority of the world community, has repeatedly tried to stop the aggressor. However, such efforts have failed. Russia definitely enjoys the right of veto on the UN Security Council, and we have few seconds left. Veto on the Security Council, and the international community cannot blame the aggressor in the right way and stop the bloodshed. This is why reforming the United Nations is the only probably immediate way to establish peace and security. And thank you very much, children. We are very hoping you, and we will come back to Ukraine and share this information and share the information about you. You are very lovely, and thank you for your hospitality.
That was a presentation from the Ukraine. It has been done through an interpretation in English. The original version is in a language which we cannot stand, but I'm sure the issues which the presentation has raised are very clear. There is a very, very grim picture about the plight of children in the Ukraine. We have been given figures which are very alarming and worrying. The paper is concluding by suggesting that the only way to solve the problems that are facing the children is reforming the United Nations. This suggestion has been made several times in this conference. The presenter has actually noted that the aggressor is enjoying the right of veto in the United Nations, and therefore the aggressor is unstoppable in the Ukraine. Thank you so much, madam. Another hand again for her. We have been joined by another speaker, Mr. John Eubank, yes, from the United States of America. He will be making a speech later on. I just want him to settle down for a while. I'll invite you later on to make your speech. But for now, yes. Oh, I see. Oh, I'm advised that he has an early flight to catch. Oh. All right, okay. In that case, he will be the next speaker so that he has time to rush to the airport for his flight. I already introduced him. He is Mr. John Eubank. Sir, you can take the podium to make your presentation in 7 minutes if you can. Yeah, be precise and to the point. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great. My name's John Eubank. I've found my way to the City Montessori School through my father, who is John Eubank, and together we run a charity that's organized through a great group called the Religious Society of Friends, or Quakers. Don't know if any of you are familiar with them, but they are a group originally from England that believe in pacifism and nonviolence a long time ago when it was not in vogue to believe in it, speak of it, or anything else. I didn't expect to speak here, so this is going to be quick, and like I said, and they said, I'm on my way to the airport. But seeing what I did here the last few days and hearing what I've heard, the children are the answer. I mean, they're the only answer, because what we have now handed down to you, my generation and the one before me, is really a problem. There are so many problems in the world today. So many are gone over redundantly in a situation like this, but you all know what I'm talking about. I hope and pray that the kids of City Montessori School, as well as the children of America and the whole world, can get it into their minds that peace is the way. War is not the way. It will never work. It only destroys lives, destroys countries, destroys souls. So, peace and world government. A world government that, as you know, the UN is having its own problems now. To me, it seems slightly obsolete in a lot of ways. It goes about things, and I'm sure the younger people are going to agree with me. It needs to change. The fundamentals are there, but things need to be done to change it. The progress is coming because I can see it through you folks. And hopefully there will be one day a way of governing the whole world that everybody will agree with and everyone will go along with. I don't know what else I can say. I enjoyed being here. I enjoyed meeting quite a number of you. And thank you very much. It's very quick, I know, but I have to go. So I wish the best to all of you in whatever endeavors you choose. But the main thing is peace. Peace on earth. Peace to your fellow man. Just keep it going with the peace. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't have a complete speech, and there was a lot of misconception, but thank you very much. I was born and raised in Hawaii. So if anybody knows, it's America, but it's not America. It's about 3,000 miles off the west coast of America. So leaving from Los Angeles or San Francisco, it takes 6 hours on a plane to get there. So we are, and as a Caucasian there, I'm a minority, not the majority. The Asian community is the majority there. So we're called Howleys. I'm a local Howley, so I get by, but otherwise I would be just a Howley or a tourist. So, can you show them on the globe where it is? Okay. We have, and actually it's the group of islands that are farther away from any continent than anywhere else in the world. So it is the most isolated place on Earth. Even the poles, both of them. So it is, if anybody can see that, here's America. Here's the west coast of America, Mexico, Central America, South America. Then out here in the middle of nowhere, this is Hawaii. This is the west coast of America. So you see there's a chunk of ocean between it and anything. Up here is like the Nicobar Islands would be for India. It's a national reserve and is doing pretty good, but the bleaching is happening there. So the environmental problems are showing up. Global warming is showing up everywhere and cannot be denied. And as you see, Asia is over here. So it's quicker to get to Honolulu for somebody that lives in Asia and feel part of America too if you're in Hawaii. And it's also a great place if you want to come as a tourist. So for the Tourist Board of Hawaii, come on by. Aloha.
Excuse me, Mr. Abad. Since you are leaving, so we'd like to, on behalf of all the children and CMS, we'd like to give
Okay, thank you.
to you. That's a certificate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for
Everybody
being
here has been so kind. Shishir, one of the best guys I ever met.
No
right
doubt
here.
about it. Yeah.
Fantastic. And all you guys, you have a great life ahead of you, and go for it. But keep that peace in mind.
Okay.
Thank you all. Good
Thank
luck,
you.
everybody.
Can we get back to business? Thank you. Well, I wish he stayed longer, but as he has explained, he has to rush for his plane. Let's move on with our next speaker. It will not be the gentleman sitting to my immediate right. No, he will be the last one because he has told me that he's a politician. So the politician should speak at the very end. As for now, let me invite the Honorable Justice Omar Makungu, Chief Justice of the High Court of Zanzibar. Honorable Justice.
Mr. Chair, member of panels, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I have to take this opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting us to come to this conference. Because of time, I wish to begin by saying that in today's world, we see that there are immense problems such as a global financial crisis, a global climate crisis, and a global war on terror. We have also seen the spread of pandemics and one of the most detrimental financial crises since the Great Depression. There is an alarming number of issues threatening the future of the world. To name but a few, I refer to the plight of billions of children living in abject poverty, the problem associated with global warming and its impact on the water and food supply of future generations, the inadequacy of health care for children in the developing world. Daily tabloids are filled with reports on human trafficking, forced child labor, forced marriages, and prostitution of millions of children as young as 12, and crimes like rape, murder on children. And we also observe that national governments seem increasingly ill-equipped to deal with problems that extend beyond their borders. All nations today are struggling to reach effective and enforceable agreement on issues like global warming and international financial regulation and issues of terrorism. These issues are great stakeholders for the future of the world's children. It is also increasingly clear that the most difficult issues facing national governments are international in nature. I believe that the principle of global governance allows each and every nation to collectively identify and solve problems in a global scale. The rights of children are protected in a number of international instruments. The Convention on the Rights of Children, with 193 states parties, the most widely accepted human rights treaty. In the last 20 years since its adoption by the General Assembly in November 1989, this convention has become the framework which guides action by government, international organizations, and NGOs in the effort to ensure the realization of human rights for children as well as their protection, well-being, and development. The convention requires states to implement the prescribed rights by enacting enabling legislation and tackling the necessary administrative steps. Dear children, in spite of a number of instruments we have adverted to, the right of the children and the right of the future children yet to be born greatly depends on the enforcement of these very crucial instruments. On a good note, it can be said that there is now a perceived breeze of change as government become more conscious of their national obligations to promote and protect the right of the children. For better implementation of international instruments and laws, the world is in need of government and institutions which are transparent, democratic, and can work together with the NGO and civil society. The problem that the world faces today are problems that no one particular country, however powerful, can solve on its own. It is shared responsibility of humankind, and hence the need for international cooperation has grown stronger. Dear students, the world is now changing, and with the demand on the UN, democratization of the UN, which should have the power to legislate enforceable world law, and also demanded the establishment of the veto power to the abolishment of the veto power system in the Security Council, without which no meaningful reform of the UN was possible. Again, the International Criminal Court, ICC, continues to face increasingly criticism about its singular African case docket, with all 8 active investigations and 18 prosecution cases being against Africans. The overall prosecution strategy and the court expanding global reach in selecting situations has raised concern about the legitimacy of the ICC and its ability to dispense impartial justice for crime under its jurisdiction. The ICC focus on Africa has prompted many within and beyond Africa to ask why it is only African facing justice in The Hague when international crimes are prevalent in other parts of the world. Other thing is that the ICC has no enforceable machinery. That is why it has no teeth to bite. From these weaknesses, changes are needed in the UN structure. Ladies and gentlemen, there has been much progress in the protection of the children's rights, but more nations must act to protect those who most needed it. As a judge, I saw firsthand how crimes against children affected their future. Children are a nation's future. The best gift we can give to the world is to ensure a safe, healthy, educate, and able future generation. The voice of this conference on the end of the children must be heard loud and clear. It is violation of human rights when babies are denied food or drowned or suffocate or their spines broken simply because they are born girls. It is violation of human rights when girls are sold into the slavery of prostitution. It is a violation of human rights when young girls are brutalized by the painful and degrading practice of genital mutilation. 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, please, you have 2 minutes.
If there is one message that echoes first this conference left is to be that human rights are children's rights. and the children's rights are human rights once and for all. The proposal of a world parliament, a world government, and a world court of justice establishing equal basis among citizen and civilization and culture, religious and races, which help for the implementation and enforcing of international law, is those consideration of judges and jurists of the world. Thank you for your undivided attention.
Right, let's move on. We don't have much time. Our last speaker will be His Excellency Mr. Amio Muharemi, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Croatia in India. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, dear children, Madam, since we are in school, this is Croatian flag, red, white and blue, and these checkers in the middle. You will recognize Croatia through that very easily. Because before beginning, I was talking to some children here, they didn't know even where Croatia is. So I consider this part of education. Previously in my life, dear kids, I worked several things in my life. I've been ambassador to United Nations, deputy permanent representative. I was ambassador to Turkey. I was colonel in Croatian army during our conflict. When United Nations forces came to Croatia, I was liaison officer. I visited them. Satish Nambiar, Indian general, when he crossed on Croatian territory, I was the one who greeted him. So today's topic, global governance structure, changes, where world is going, is a topic that is very familiar to me. But because you are 15 years old and in school and we are giving a lecture to you, I would like to make it very short, very simple. Hopefully inside of 7 minutes I will be the first one without the ring of bell, and I'll try to keep you awake. So world is never a wishful thinking. It is always a result of realities, hard realities, very hard realities. Same as in your life. If you don't do your homework, you will not get the grades. Out of 10, maybe once, twice you can get through, but you cannot make it. You have to learn. You have to do your homework. Same goes for families. Same goes for bigger units. Same goes for states. Because United Nations is consisted of states. So it is an organization of states, and each and every state has its own internal system, how they elect government and who makes a decision. So it is a result of this very complex structure. And as such, has advantages, disadvantages. They can produce certain results, some things they cannot do. Today we said several things about reforming United Nations. You cannot stop world and life even if you want to. So the world is changing, and United Nations and other international organizations are changing, and they will change according to realities again. Depends who has the most influence, what are the realities that influence this decision-making process, and according to someone's activity. If you are not active, things will not happen. So you have to do your homework again. And again, I'm talking about homework. Very boring teacher. Always homework. But this is reality also. You have to do your homework. If you don't do it, no one else will do it for you. So, world is very interesting today. Through mass communication, through much bigger education of huger amount of people, we know much more about the whole world. So the picture that we get is that it is very confusing, very complex world full of wars. But in fact, never in history we had better world. But only today we know about everything. So Previously, when war broke out somewhere, we didn't even know. It doesn't mean that someone is not getting killed over there. Today we have uplifted huge numbers of people from utmost poverty. Because of it, they are a little bit better. Because they are better, they want more. Because of it, the world looks more complex. And it is more complex, but it's better. So it's a mixed picture. In fact, the world is going forward with a lot of problems, and we know much more about the problems. More we are educated, more we understand how much we don't know. So with every book that I read, I am much more humble because I realize how little I knew yesterday. So in front of you is a lot of learning. World is very complex. And the answer how complex it is could be maybe this. I'll tell you something maybe that no one mentioned. You heard the name Sigmund Freud, the psychoanalyst from 19th century, beginning of 20th century. So if you read all his books, it's this big. The conclusion is that one human being is very complicated. Can you imagine how complicated are relations between two human beings? Then three, then a whole class. She likes me, she doesn't like me, she's this, she's that, she didn't come to school. You know how it works, and then this boy, this girl, very complicated. Very complicated. And then you have city of Lucknow. How many people are in city of Lucknow? Who says, oh, Lucknow they think this way. He's lying. It's not possible. No one can say that everyone thinks in one way. So if you go further, whole planet, how complex it is. Meaning, what is the solution? And the solution is very simple, in fact. The ecologists that we like to talk about, they have very good saying. Think globally, but act locally. You think of every subject, but do what you can. Don't throw a bottle on the street. Don't spit. Don't offend the next person to you. If you can help him. Each and every one of us we know from the birth what is good and what is bad. We know that. By nature of life, we know it. Even animals know it. We know it. So, it's simple. Don't do bad, do good. Because if you look now backwards to all history, you will realize that bad never wins. They may have upper hand for 10 years, 15, even Hitler was mentioned today. His reign was 12 years only. He killed a lot of people, made huge damage, but only 12 years. So good wins. So if we know who will win, why should we play for a losing side? Let's play for a winning side. Let's be good. Be good to each other. Help your colleagues, help your friends, be nice citizens. Everyone is not the same. Someone learns faster, someone learns slower. Someone is taller, someone is shorter. Someone lives longer, someone lives shorter life. Some of us lose hair. You see, we are all different. So, be good to each other, do the best of your life, learn and enjoy life. Life is a miracle. And being in India, you are in middle of miracle of the miracles. So, thank you very much. If you have questions, we'll be here. And I hope I kept you awake.
Oh, that was very wonderful. Very wonderful. He says, we know what is good and we know what is bad. He has also said that good always wins, and therefore we should play for the winning side. He has said he is able to answer questions. I'm sure that you may have some questions for him. His presentation marks the end of the presentations from this side. We shall now move on into an interactive session. This is an occasion or an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might have on what has been presented and on the global governance issues generally. 12 of the speakers have left. The speaker of the ambassador from the Sudan and the gentleman from America, will try to answer the questions that will come from what they have presented. My sister on my left here made a presentation which was through some interpreted version in English. But her presentation had a number of issues involving children, backed up with figures. I don't know whether she will be able to answer your questions through the same interpreter, because I thought you may have questions on her presentation. The floor is now open for any questions and any comments you might wish to make. Thank you. Yeah, you help me. Yeah, you help me.
When you come up with your questions, please specify your name and then tell us who you are addressing the question to. Okay? And if it is in general, that's all right.
Ma'am, Priyanshi Dikshit from Station Road campus. My question is to all. The question is, it is a fact that people have lack interest in international institutions. If so, then how can the rift between them be filled up? Some of the some functions or events should be done so that the rift between the people and the institutions fill up.
Would you?
Have we all gotten the question? This question is for all of us. I just want to be sure that we got the question clear.
Can you repeat the question with different words?
Or perhaps you can paraphrase it, madam.
I think she's trying to say that the people... okay, go ahead.
Sir, do you think people lack interest in international institutions? If yes, how can relationship between institutions and people in order to establish an effective world order?
Okay, I think she's trying to say that we have international institutions, but people are sort of not connected to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that so?
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we create the interest of people in international institutions? Is that the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A tough question from a student. Yeah, sure.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Use this chair, yeah.
Yeah, sit next to her.
Anything?
Yes, the ambassador here wants to attempt an answer.
Okay,
I'm sure I
all right.
can give an answer. Yeah.
Thank you very much. In front of us is future Indian very successful politician, you see. She was sitting in the front row, being brave to ask the question, a very clever one. And your question has part of the answer. Not everyone is equally interested in equal things. We should start from that. This is basic freedom. So people are not interested, you said, in international relations or organizations. They are not contributing, they are not giving their effort. Everyone should not do. Everyone should be free to do whatever, if it's possible, whatever he wants to do in life. But the fact of life is that some of the people have internal need to do common good, to work for the others. Usually in front of you are the people who have that inside of them, this need to do for common good for the others. Not everyone has that. Now, from those people, how do we make sure that right people are elected, the right values go forward, so that they end up in international institutions who are running the world and running it properly? It will happen through time, through selections, through education, through good intentions, and through, very important, good people getting together to fight bad people. So as I keep saying, homework, homework, homework. We have to do our homework. If we don't do it, no one will. Or the others will do something else. So activism is important, but also it is important to accept that someone is not interested. If someone is vegetarian, we should not force him to eat meat. Same goes for all walks of life. So, and world institutions world institutions are changing, people who are serving in them are changing and getting better and better and better. Slowly, but for sure. And world, as the Sudanese ambassador was mentioning at the beginning, is very different today than it used to be. When UN was formed 70 years ago, it had 45 members. Today, United Nations have 193 members. But FIFA, World Football Federation, has 210 members. So, you see, world is complex. But with new generation coming, with much more education, with proper professors, proper environment, with you learning what is good, what is bad, going forward, doing good, right stuff, everything goes forward. So my answer to you is, do your part. Think globally, act locally. Thank you. Additional questions?
I'm sure that answers your question. Yes.
It's an open question. Honorable judges, can we say the United Nations Security Council is its own greatest enemy, with the major powers of the world entangled in various alliances on opposing sides, thereby getting consensus among them? Repeat. Can we say the United Nations Security Council is its own greatest enemy, with the major powers of the world entangled in various alliances on opposing sides, thereby getting consensus among them?
Okay, we are talking of the structure of the Security Council, basically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. So, is that a question or a comment? Because you are quoting what Gandhi said, that the United Nations is the biggest enemy of itself, the structure. So, do you have a question on that, or do you want us to comment on it?
Can they just comment on it? You want to put some? You want to say something?
I want to comment on it.
He wants you to comment on it.
Oh, I see. Would you want to take that on, Judge? Okay. All right.
Питання формування Ради безпеки дуже актуальне і, на наш погляд, воно вже застаріле, оскільки жодне наші звернення не отримали позитивну відповідь, їх блокує Росія.
None of our appeals in the Security Council of United Nations, it was never get forward because of the structure of the Security Council. And as you know, the Second World War, there are many victims and people killed. And Russia, as a future of the USSR, she decides that her position in this council must be majority because there are so many victims from USSR. But definitely, if we look into the problem, we understand that if we will think in that way, Ukraine has to be the same position in Security Council because Russian people was killed about 7 million and Ukrainians about 6 million people. So both of us having a terrible a huge amount of victims and people killed. But after the Soviet Union, Russia decided that they have a majority right. And it's even for Ukraine, we don't want to have that right also, because it's really bad and it's really untrue to other nations. So your question is really right, and its Security Council have to be reviewed functions and the countries in that. Thank you.
Yeah, in short, we agree with what Gandhi said, and the experience of posterity has judged Gandhi right. Just to add on what the friends from Ukraine have said at the very end of their presentation, which is in an English translation, it says, Ukraine, based on the majority of the world community, has repeatedly tried to stop the aggressor. However, such efforts have failed. Russia enjoys the right of veto on the UN Security Council, and the international community cannot blame the aggressor in the right way to stop the bloodshed. So that just underscores the problem which Gandhi observed. And the ambassador from Sudan, you remember, he said, why can't the Security Council be structured in such a way that countries like India that have a big population be properly represented in the Security Council? The population of India is so big. If I got him right, he said India and China combined is almost half the world population. So we agree.
That was very well answered. Thank you, all three of our speakers. Can we have somebody else coming up with a question? Yes, please. Anybody else who has a question ready would like to please come here?
My question is,
we must all listen to the question.
I'm Akansha Mora from Kanpur Road campus. My question too is an open question. According to you, what are the changes that are needed in the society to establish gender equality and good global governance? What changes, according to you, are needed in the society to establish gender equality and good global governance?
So we are talking of big changes, right? Okay, stay there.
Yeah, the question is very clear, I believe. The question is, what are the changes that need to be done in order to establish gender equality and good global governance? Yes. Yes.
I'll take the opportunity to answer your question. Hope that I'll do it right. As primary education, I graduated sociology, so partly this will be the reason why I will answer this question this way. We have to do first, on global level, eradicate poverty and create opportunity for education for everyone. This is eradication of poverty's first step. Second step comes hand in hand. Maybe you'll be surprised, but it is important to have urbanization. Why urbanization? Because the rural way of life perpetuates the values of previous time. And in India, you will understand what I mean. So when you have a situation, let me be plastic for you to understand what I'm saying. If you have a chance to move to urban area, if ladies, young girls are educated, if they have opportunity to work for themselves, then they earn their money. This is the way to become a free human being. So if a lady chooses to marry someone who usually is not married from that village, region, religion, caste, group, whatever, she can be free to make her decision. This is this creates a society of free humans. It will not be perfect, but this is the way forward. Because the other way around is perpetuating the old values, so there is no movement forward, there is no changes of values, which you asked. But poverty, education, urbanization, equal opportunities, and if we have all humans, women and men, participating in social life, in all walks of life, working, contributing, this is the basis for a better society. Better society will create better governance on all levels. Simple, but very hard to achieve. Yeah. In former Soviet Union, in former Yugoslavia, We passed through that process very fast because it was one-party system, it was centralized, and it was the idea inside of the system to create these opportunities. So women very fast, in 1 or 2 generations, passed from a position when they were not educated in villages into educated workforce. But this was the case at that time, beginning of 20th century, and very specific time and place. I hope I answered your question.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So I think education is something which is really going to yield changes, right? We have a next student here with a question. So let's see what she has to. Who do you want to address?
Before she asks her question, the ambassador sitting next to me is who asking questions. The boys seem to be shy, but anyway, continue.
So gender bias gone already. Yes. The question is answered.
I'm Shreya Singh from Aliganj Campus 1, and my question is, Honorable Chief Justice of Ukraine told us that works is being done for the refugee children and children of war by UNICEF. So we would all like to know about those works and what is being done for the future.
Держава опікується цими питаннями, зокрема, вирішується питання про дитячі садки, про місця в дитячих садках, школах, тому що багато дітей-переселенців хотіли вчитися в Україні, а не в Росії. Їм це забороняли, тому вони переїхали сюди. Ось тепер, ну, в такому плані, скажімо, щоб я багато говорила.
So there are many things was done for those children that became refugees, because we have to build a lot more schools and graveyards. We build in the flats for the guys from the anti-terroristic operations. We build in the flats for their parents, and they have a free flat, free buildings. So those children are living there now, and we cannot say that actually everyone is in our charge, but many NGOs working now in Ukraine. And after a revolution in Kiev, in Maidan, maybe you know that we have a revolution, a big one. And after that revolution, there are established a huge amount of NGOs. And that amount of NGOs collecting money all over the world, from USA, Canada, Europe, and every else countries, to help these children, to help these refugees, and to build new buildings and new flats for them.
Is that okay?
Thank you for that question.
You heard the plight of the children, and now you know what all is being done.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this question.
Sir, myself Himanshu Verma of class 10 from CMS Aliganj Campus 1. Sir, I would like to address this question to respected Mr. Amir from Croatia. Sir, you advised us to think globally but act locally. But taking it on a national scale like ours, where most ministers and high officials are connected to the lower sections of the society, how would this concept be implemented?
Thank you for your question. Thank you for defending gender equality, now being a boy asking a question, because all the girls were here. I was worried. Look, it is not such a complicated concept. Don't overthink it. Act locally means do whatever you can in your daily life. Every day, every decision is important. When you wake up, you have a free will. You can go left or you can go right. You can learn or you can play cricket. I propose learning better than playing cricket. There is time for cricket. So, you mentioned politicians, local politicians. This is this way of thinking, waiting for someone to give you something. No, you do your homework. Be the best you can. life will bring you answers. Learn, work, walk on this earth proudly, do the best you can, the rest will come. Even if your destiny is not easy, you have to bear it. There is no way around it. We are not same, we don't have same destiny, we don't live in the same part of the world, we don't have nothing the same, we are different. So, be brave, act locally, meaning do the best you can from your life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, he's very philosophical, but I'm sure you've gotten the answer. Yeah.
Okay, now, who else wants to ask a question? Anybody? Yes, please, come up. Come up, child, come up. Okay, I think it will be very nice if we listen to the questions and the answers.
Good morning,
Teachers,
everyone.
Teachers.
My name is Shehwar Fatma. I am from Aliganj Campus 1. And my question is to Sir Amir from Croatia. So actually you said that everybody thinks in different ways and you cannot force them to think in one way. Like you cannot force a vegetarian to eat meat. So we need a united world and global governance. So don't you think that for a united world and global governance everybody should think in the same way? And if so, then how can we change the mindset of people to think in the same way?
Thank you very much for your question. You succeeded in making a simple sentence very complicated one. It's not so complicated. When I said one should not try to, it is very different. One should keep freedom for everyone. This is the principle, because we are different. We are different. This is a fact. I gave you several examples, even mentioning my hairstyle. Look, you ask, how can we come to a better world if everyone thinks in its own way?
Yes, sir. United world.
United is a very tricky word. What does it mean, united? We are all humans. We are very united. If you go further, let me answer like this. There is no single astronaut who came back from space and no one became chauvinistic and narrow-minded. Because when they saw from far away this tiny blue dot, and that all of us live on that very tiny blue dot. We are smaller than ants, very insignificant. No one came back and said, oh, you should all be this or that. We are different, but very same at the same time. We are humans on this one planet. So, united world. Yes, united in a higher sense. Doing good. Living our life, helping everyone. Not polluting, not doing bad things. Very simple. It's not so complicated.
Thank
very
you.
Simple. Thank you.
Let me just add, what he said, that we think differently and we do things differently. Don't take it to the extreme. You see, what Dr. Gandhi is doing, he is trying actually to persuade people to think in a like manner and thereby come to a consensus and create a world government. So what he said earlier on is a very extreme position, but we can come to a moderate position. Thank you.
At the same time, he also mentioned that we have the capability of differentiating between good and bad. So that is also something that he said. And all of us, if we understand what is good, we automatically come to a consensus. Yes, we have the next child here with a question.
I am Abhijit from Aliganj campus. My question is open for all. At present, widespread global poverty and inequality generate highly uneven opportunities for people to have a say regarding global challenges that shape their lives. My question is, what steps can be taken to promote better possibilities of global democratic involvement for all?
The question is, what steps can be taken to
promote better possibilities of global democratic involvement for all?
So, yeah.
can try, but I'll keep repeating. Thank you very much, Abhijit. Thank you very much for your question. There are a lot of things that can be done. None of them is one single act that will change everything. There is no such thing. If it existed, it would have been done long time ago. There is no such thing. You press one button and everything is good. This is why I keep saying act locally. So, of course, a lot of changes are needed, everywhere and every level. But what is the way forward? For those that need change and that recognize special need, whatever level we are talking about, from communal to city level, for that group of people to get organized, to work and to create a pressure to decision makers to change those things in the right direction. So this is the one way going forward. So like that, all the way up. So India in United Nations is raising a question of not proportional representation in Security Council. This is what India as a state does. But lower levels in India you can do all the ways to your needs. Even in a classroom, if something is wrong, you raise your hand and you say, and change things. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed, a difficult question, but you have tried your best. Do we still have questions coming?
Yes, we have time for one more question at least.
Yes.
Who's going to ask the last question? No, somebody else who has not had a chance. Yes.
I am Priyal Mishra from Aliganj Campus 1. As Honorable Justice from Croatia mentioned that we should have the composition of the Security Council on the basis of population. Then India and China would dominate the Security Council, then how could it be fair enough?
So you see, this is very good example how we misunderstand each other. I never said what you said that I said. Now, let me answer you very sincerely and very fairly. As I said, United Nations were formed in 1945. It is a result of Second World War. At that time, world was different. Everything was different. Other things were important. World now, 70 years later, is a different world. I just said that India is raising a question of not properly being represented in Security Council. But United Nations is not just head count. You cannot just judge the whole international organization headed by UN only through population. People forget, for example, that United States of America is financing UN 25%. It goes for granted. Well, it's normal that they give the money. Maybe it's not. Japan is second bigger contributor. No one is mentioning Japan. And it's not only that. We have regional groups. We have differences in development. We have different questions being arose. We speak today of gender equality. In certain societies, it is already achieved. In certain societies, parts of the world, we are very far away from it. The problems of Vanuatu, they are very different from some other parts of the world because Vanuatu is very much threatened by climate change. If the ocean rises for 1 meter, there is no more Vanuatu. And they are very small. And now we can say their problem is insignificant. Who are we to judge whose life is more important than someone else's? So it's not simple world. The major mistake that everyone does is looking at the whole world from my own position. This is the most important. So when I was 20 years and I had a small child, the kindergarten was the most important question. But when he started going to school, then the primary school was the most important question. It's not like that. If you start from your own position, it is simple world and very narrow. If you start thinking of the others, suddenly things are complicated, and through good and bad, through broader mind, through education and knowledge, you come to realize how complex, diverse world is. And because of it, it's beautiful. Whoever believes in God thinks that God is almighty. Let's start from that point. If God, creator of all worlds, is almighty, why didn't he make us all equal like eggs? We wouldn't have problems. But we have a free will. We have a mind. We have emotions. Human beings, I'm saying. So we are blessed and we have responsibilities. So I'm coming to this. You do the best with yourself. Think globally. All the questions are legitimate. Question anything. Why sun comes from east? Maybe it's wrong. Maybe you should change the name or something. But every question is legitimate. But act locally. Do what you can. You cannot sit and say, oh, if I was, I would do this. You have to do what you have to do. Wake up in the morning, do your school. If you are a mother, raise your children well. If you are a father, do your part of the job. Where you are working, whatever you do, you have to do the best. The best according to your abilities that were given to you. But out of your capabilities, you should not judge the others. Someone cannot do that. Can you imagine if the whole world was footballer Messi and saying, why don't you play better football? Look at me. But it's only one Messi. He cannot judge others. Why don't you play? Or Ola Juan, for example, he's 2 meters 10 and he says, why are you all so short? Look at me, 2 meters 10. You cannot judge the world like that. So, if you start from the point that you accept all these questions, accept others as equals, boys and girls, children, grown-ups, whites and blacks, whatever comes to your mind, and if you accept that we are equal, you will see there are answers. It's not so complicated. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, but I want to ask one more thing, that what could be the basis of composition of the Security Council in which equality is ensured according to you?
Which equality?
Yes.
And what answers does Security Council, what question Security Council answers? Security Council is not everything. It is only one of the organizations which has certain possibilities.
So we should do away with the Security Council if it's not important?
No, it's not that simple. No, we keep coming to this, that with what sentence we can answer all questions. It's not that simple. I just am avoiding to give you simple answer, because there is no simple answer. It's complicated. Security Council is a result, as I said, of certain period of time. And Madam Svitlana Vus from Ukraine mentioned, for example, the Soviet Union part in Security Council. Let me remind you, because of the results of Second World War, Soviet Union was very important in creating United Nations and Security Council. At that time, Soviet Union asked for 3 votes. Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia so were a part of United Nations to have numbers, because at that time that was a specific problem. When Soviet Union was dissolving, there were 5 nuclear states left after Soviet Union. And nuclear bombs are very dangerous, as you know. So, in complex negotiation after Soviet Union, the solution was found like this, and she will correct me if I'm wrong. The borders stay the same, but all the nuclear warheads go back to Russia, and Russia is the only successor state of Soviet Union. But Kazakhstan, Ukraine, they are giving warheads back to Russia. Unlike Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, when dissolved, all 6 republics are successor states of Yugoslavia. So Croatia is a successor state. So we divide everything, the legacy, this and that. So the world is not simple. So in East European group inside of United Nations, there were before few countries. After Soviet Union dissolved to 15 states, Yugoslavia to 6, Czechs and Slovaks divorced. Now East European group has 23 members. It changed. But Africa and Asia were one. They divided. Now you have Africa and Asia separated. So now, how should Security Council be represented? What are the questions that Security Council should answer? How you make sure that everyone is happy? It's not simple. it will take some time. But in order to change these complex bodies, some kind of consensus and knowledge of everyone to accept certain realities takes time. Unfortunately, but this is the reality. Thank you.
I think we can clap both for the question and the answer.
Yes. We are supposed to break at 1, and if my watch is working properly, this is 1 o'clock.
It is 1 o'clock, but we'd request you to please
yes.
wind up.
Yes, I will do that. I will do that.
Yeah.
Well, let me begin by thanking the various speakers who are sitting in front of you. And again, I would like to thank the students for attentively listening to the speakers and for the questions, very intriguing questions which you have asked. Some of them very difficult questions to answer, like the very last one was quite difficult. From what we have discussed and from the questions that have come about, it is very clear that there is need for a proper world or global government, whether it can be achieved within the existing United Nations by way of reforming it or by creating some other new body, is something we need to seriously consider. But it is clear to everybody that in its present setup, the United Nations is not the best way to achieve a global government. I've always wondered why it has been the case that these bodies are formed after a major world catastrophe. The League of Nations came about after the First World War. The United Nations came about after the Second World War. I hope we're not waiting for a Third World War before we can create a proper global government. As Dr. Gandhi's philosophy goes, mankind is one. Therefore, for mankind to face the challenges that face mankind, indeed, we need a global government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all the speakers on the dais. We had a very, very fruitful session today, and I'm sure the children are also very happy. But as a principal, I'm just taking back one thing. Children should do their homework well. And I'm sure all the teachers over here must have been very happy hearing that everybody should do their homework very well. So whatever you do should be the best, and be the best wherever you are. The world will automatically change, and it's going to become a beautiful place. Thank you all the speakers for being here, sharing your views with the children, and thank you all the students for being such a good audience and listening to the speakers with such a great deal of attention. And now it's time for us to break. I have some of these students who would like to just interact with you one-to-one. Is that allowed? Is that okay?